Hey guys, it's Rush. Today we're going to be talking about how wins and losses happen. So for this replay, we're on the map Himmelsdorf, and I'm going to talk about why we won this game and how you can try to replicate that in your game. So the way Himmelsdorf works in Tier 10 gameplay is that everyone thinks the hill is very important. Now, that definitely used to be the case, but you're going to see what's going to happen as I speed it up right here. This is a really quick game. I don't really do... I do 3k damage, but what's going to happen is they're going to leave the tank alley, and this is huge. It's not the fact that they totally left it open. If they had one tank in tank alley, it wouldn't really have affected the outcome of this game, but it's the way that their whole team went to the hill and they didn't push down it. So currently, if you look at our team lineup, we have no one on the hill. You know, the typical player would think that's an obvious loss because you don't have the high ground, and that's fair. But the way this map works, or basically every map in the game, is that speed is extremely important. So what you can see me doing is I'm going to the tank alley. I see no one here. So I'm just going to drive forwards. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I suspect, and I'm pretty close to right, that they have no one here, right? You can see they've not really got anyone committed to the middle. And typically my experience with this map in Tier 10 games is that their whole team, or a large amount of their team, will be on the hills. So you can see I'm just driving into their base. There's no competition. So from their perspective, I mean, they know I'm here. Obviously, I'm really aggressive, and the whole team in Tank Alley just got lit. They might want to be coming back to base, or they want to be pushing into our base. Either or works. They just have to work together. Because what can happen is if they were to get on our cap right now, or as we were driving into their cap, you know, we'd be sort of screwed. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing what I don't want them to do to me. So I'm pushing into their base. You can see I find the RD. We're a minute and 45 seconds into the game, and this is really going to be hilarious because I can just sit on the cap here, even though obviously this is pretty risky. But you'll notice their whole team is on the hill, and it's going to be ineffective for them, and the reason for that is because the hill can't do anything, and as a result, so what's happening here, let me explain it. I tried to figure out a way to explain it, but here their whole team is on the hill, right? Well, they've got a large number of tanks, powerful tanks, who are just sitting there. And meanwhile, because I've triggered out the cap, they've got a singular object 140 and a singular low who are going into like 5 tanks. So this is called overmatches, and this is the essence of Clan Wars. You want to try to fight small numbers with big numbers to give yourself an unfair advantage. And you can see they're giving this to us right here because they're like their tanks are sitting on the hill. So I'm able to solo this 140, and I mean, I expect to be able to do that. I'm an E5 in a city map, and I can typically deal with 140. And you can see these, which, you know, I'm just going to assume I have average players on these teams. These guys have no problem dealing with the low. And after the low, there's another email who, again, will be alone because he basically let the low die. So what I'm doing is I'm just killing this 140. Now, I'm alone here. Obviously, that puts me at a disadvantage. But the reason we're able to win this is because we force them to rush back to base, and they're doing it one by one. And let's be real, teamwork doesn't happen in pub games. So they're all now in their base, but it's sort of too little too late. They're down 4 tanks. We're about to kill a tier 10 tank. Then I'm going to start working on a couple others. That 140 actually DC'd. I only noticed it after I shot him. I just thought something was happening. So I put a shot into him. You can see the 30 is shooting at us. And this is what I'm trying to explain. It doesn't really matter how, like, it doesn't really matter where you go on a map, for the most part, as long as you can win that side quickly, because at the end of the day, this was a raffle stomp, and they had, in quotations, the better position. And the reason this happened, in my opinion anyways, is because we were able to push through aggressively, and then basically they're thinking, oh shit, what do I do? So they rush back to base, and that allows us to win easy 1v5s, right? I mean, obviously I sort of screwed up, but I was leading the charge there. So if you're looking to increase your win rate, I would suggest, I mean, obviously I'm one guy, but in my experience, the way to do that is to play a single side and just be as aggressive as you possibly can. Heavy tanks are going to be the best for that, but if you can win your side and push through before the enemy pushes through, like you can see we pushed through the tank alley before they pushed down the hill. And that's what won us the game. We were way faster than them, and they give us such easy positions to work with that we were able to do it. So, in my opinion, aggression wins games. We can go look at this on a map tactic or something, but it's pretty obvious. This is a raffle stump, but even though they had better positions, you can see as they come down, they're just sort of screwed. We have the cap circle, so. Alright, so you can see this was on the map. Himmelsdorf, obviously. The way this game played out is we just pushed up the tank alley, something to this effect, and then we got on cap. Now, So a lot of people will see this video and they will say, oh well, you can't leave the tank alley undefended, right? And so they will bring their one tank and try to deal with the weak flank. Now my experience is, and you can see my experience represented right here, is that fighting multiple tanks by yourself never works. So if you're on the northern spawn right here and you see 5 tanks coming up the tank alley, you do not want to be in the tank alley. It's a lot better to find something else to do. And honestly, we didn't have the hill defended. So in this case, we actually had one flank undefended and they had a flank that was undefended. So the way that they could have won this would have been to just push down the hill and get on our cap. The problem with that is it takes forever to climb to the hill. So in this pub game, we literally just drove into them, and that we had the speed advantage. We were able to get onto their cap way sooner than they could ever possibly conceive on getting onto our cap. So in the end, I mean, it's obviously it's lucky, but this is the general concept. If you can push aside quickly before the end, like if you can get into the enemy's base before they get into yours, that's huge, right? So what I found is the best way to do this consistently is to go onto the side that you can easily push. And typically in Himmelsdorf, I mean, when there's 8 people on the hill from either team, you're not going to win. Luckily in this example, I had 5 teammates with me in the tank alley, and we were just able to drive into their base. Again, I'm going to repeat this because some people are going to say, oh, well, I have to be that one hero and try to defend the base. No, the way to deal with this is to lead your teammates down into the enemy's base beforehand, right? I didn't go to the hill and try to stop off 6 tanks from pushing into our base. They just didn't do it. So I led the charge, I pushed through the tank alley, and I feel like that's what's going to win you games. Instead of going and defending the weak flank, which I could have done by playing the hill. Obviously, we had no one there. I feel like this game was won, and it was won decisively because we pushed directly onto their cap, and most pubbies, even, like, they just have no clue how to deal with that, right? They had to YOLO, they had to rush all the way down to try to reset, and that just sort of screwed them over. So, yeah, I mean, this video, I would consider it, because to me, this is how winning is done. And this is how winning is done in Clan Wars 2. The idea is to overwhelm the enemy with more tanks, and we sort of did that. I mean, indirectly, right? We didn't find a group and then rush that group. But in this case, by getting on cap in a pub game, there's this one guy who thinks, oh shit, the cap in a fast tank, who thinks he needs to reset the cap. So he goes and resets the cap way too early, kills himself, and a lot of time in pub games, you can actually take advantage of that. So this is my experience. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt, but I would consider trying this out. Try playing a heavy for a couple games and just playing a side that you think you can win quickly. And there's going to be a balance, obviously. You'll notice I was cautious. When I was pushing through here, I didn't want to get caught in a crossfire between one guy here and one guy here. But once I had sort of figured out that it was safe, I just went, you know, all out, basically. So I would suggest giving it a try, seeing how it works out for you. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, you know, I'm a retard. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button. And I hope to see you around. Later, guys. Bye-bye.